Okay, fair warning, this video is going to be completely unscripted. It's just something that I kind of wanted to babble about for a little bit, so put up with me maybe. So I know I've never said it on my channel before because it's not really relevant with the type of content that I've made up until this point, despite the fact that I do, like, plan on branching out to other types of content, and video essays are not only one of my favorite categories of video, but a category of video that I would like to work on myself. But I have a confession to make, unfortunately. I am a fan of Hell of a Boss. I know. I'm sorry. I used to be into it when there was still, like, half a season of Hell of a Boss out, and it was like that was all that was out, and I kind of kept up with the releases, but I wasn't super consistent with it until, like, maybe a year ago. And I know that it's been a while since season 2 ended, so this is all, like, old news and no one really cares anymore. But yeah, season 2 assassinated characters, really weird and kind of hard and very bad. I could talk about the wreck that is Sinsmas, but that's been talked to death. What I really want to talk about, because I saw a video talking about it recently, this sounds super redundant, but I saw a video talking about it recently, and it made me think, like, no, you're wrong. I do want to note that the video that I watched was it was the video on Full Moon by, I want to say, Vanity Moth. I'll link the video in the description. Great video, even if I don't necessarily agree with the points. I've been, like, binge watching this guy's commentaries about Hell of a Boss in the past few days, and they're very entertaining, and he makes a lot of good points. However, one point that I disagree with that he brings up in the video that also, like, other people have said that I don't agree with is, so, like, it's pertaining to the whole argument at the end that they have, where Stolas is like, here's the crystal, and Blitz is like, why don't you want me anymore, what did I do wrong? And then Stolas is like, oh, no, I'm in love with you, and then Blitz is like, fuck you. It was a very emotional scene. It was well animated, it was well voiced, it was captivating for sure. I see a lot of people ragging on Blitz for, like, how he handled the confession, which, like, to be fair, he's not good at expressing his emotions. He's had this whole thing with, like, self-hatred going through on the entire show, and the Blitz has issues, right? I'm not gonna sit here and say Blitz doesn't have issues, because that would be incorrect. But my main issue is with how Stolas approached the whole thing. Like, I feel like he was definitely more in the wrong. Like, they're both in the wrong, but I'd say Stolas is, like, 2/3 in the wrong, and Blitz is, like, 1/3 in the wrong, if not even a lower ratio to where Blitz did less wrong. And people don't really talk about that. They just talk about Blitz blowing up at Stolas, and they're like, oh my god, what the hell, why would he do that? It's like, what do you mean, why would he do that? Like, did you see how he treated him throughout the whole show? I'm not the first one to point out that, and nor will I be the last, to point out the fact that, like, Stolas has kind of, like, yeah, treated Blitz like he's lesser throughout the entire show. Not necessarily, like, I don't think you have rights, or like, so outright, to where I don't think he's aware that he, I guess, views him as lesser, or that he's being condescending. But, like, the incessant flirting and like, hitting on him, and the, oh, my darling Blitzy, you little impish plaything kind of crap that he says, it's like, yeah, it's funny, and yeah, it probably doesn't, like, offend Blitz so deeply that it's, like, causing this crazy emotional ruin. However, when you put it in the context of Stolas being in love with him, and saying, like, I see you as an equal, and I want you to want me, and not to do this because you feel obligated because of, like, your job, it's emotional manipulation, it's gaslighting. It's like, what do you mean? When you were saying, like, ooh, sex me up real good, baby, you weren't saying sex me up real good, baby, because I love you, or sex me up real good, baby, I respect you, even. Like, there was a whole, season and a half where he was just like, yeah, sex me up real good, baby, and that was it, and Blitz was okay with that. Like, even if Blitz, like, started to have feelings for Stolas and they got more emotionally involved, it was okay-ish, because there wasn't the expectation of something more. And then, with Stolas' like, confession thing, there was certainly the expectation of something more, and putting it in the context of their entire relationship up until this point is really messed up. Like, you can't expect, like, it's just, it makes me angry, in general, and it also makes me angry how people, like, because, like, yeah, Blitz did kind of throw a little bit of a tantrum and just kind of, like, started screaming at him, which was kind of jarring, but, like, it makes sense, okay? Like, just thinking about how the episode approached it. So forget the whole part about the cherubs and the dorks, no one really cares, because it's not that great, but whatever. It starts off with Blitz being like, yep, I'm gonna go bone Stolas, and then Luna says some crap like, oh no, you guys haven't been boning much lately, like, he might be getting bored of you, and Blitz is like, nah, but it kind of gets in his head, and that's why he's trying to, like, really outbone himself, this time, I'm sorry. He's really trying to outbone himself this time, so he goes on that whole thing and, like, starts buying stuff. You know, you've seen the episode probably if you're here. If you haven't, I don't know, I guess you're subscribed and you're wondering why this isn't, like, anything else. Anyway, so he's got that whole thing in the back of his mind of, like, oh, he might be getting bored of me, but I'll give him a reason to not be bored of me. This should still be appealing because the whole thing relies on the book, which is, like, it's his job, it's his livelihood. He spent his whole life being like, yeah, I want to make something of myself separate from my clown identity, and that was the IMP business. And without the book, the IMP business is not. So that would be devastating. So he's thinking like, yeah, let me just take care of this. He doesn't think it's a real issue. He thinks it's oh, maybe, but you know, whatever, just in case. And then he shows up at Stolas's, and he's like, what's up? I brought the sex things. And then Stolas is like, let's not sex right now. I need to have a conversation with you. And if you've ever had somebody be like, we need to talk, and not felt like terror rush through your body, you're probably crazy. There's something wrong with you, because yeah, that's scary as hell, especially when you already have something on your mind, especially pertaining to this person that you're thinking like, oh no, what if it's about that? It's probably not though. And then he's like, yeah, can I get the book back? And Blitz starts freaking out, understandably so, like, what do you mean? And he's thinking he's out of a job, and he starts begging Stolas, like, please, I'll do anything. I need this. And then first of all, the fact that Stolas said it like that, like, I know that it's supposed to be this sense of, like, dramatic irony, because we know that Stolas went to get the Osmodian crystal to give to Blitz, to, like, cut off the deal, but because he wanted something, like, meaningful, but Blitz doesn't know that, and we're supposed to be like, oh no, Blitz doesn't know that, and that's why that's set up like that, I think, but it's really crappy of Stolas to put it like that. Like, if he had any foresight at all, he would have, like, gotten straight into it. Like, typically when you want to break news to someone, good or bad, but, like, important news, you, like, ease into it, or at least say it in a way that can't be misconstrued from the very beginning, because that puts somebody in, like, a very defensive mindset, which is what happened to Blitz. So he's freaking out, and then he's like, here's this crystal, and he's like, well, what the hell do I do with this? And he's like, this is instead of the book. We don't have to do that anymore. You're free to do what you want. And Blitz is like, what do you mean? Like, you don't want me anymore? Like, did I not do the sex good enough? Like, what's wrong with me? And it feeds into his whole self-loathing thing that he was just starting to get over. Not get over, but, like, like, this whole season and a half before it, it's working, he's working through it and trying to get better, and then Stolas, like, it's hit after hit with this guy, it's ridiculous. And not that, like, it's on, like, not that it's on Stolas for, like, not, keep taking that into account, but just, like, work things a little better, my man. Like, come on. And then he's like, and then he goes on and he's like, no, I want something serious with you, or, like, not that I want something, he says, like, I actually care about you, and I have for a while, and I want you to do things with me if you would like to, and not because you feel obligated to. And this whole, like, setup that we had was wrong from the beginning. All good and reasonable thoughts to have that he should have had earlier, and a good thing to say, but, like, he went about it incorrectly, and it just, he did it poorly. And then Blitz is like, oh, I get it, you're joking, this is your new thing, because he doesn't know how to handle this, and he's like, oh, well, obviously he's messing with me because his self-esteem is in the toilet. And then Stolas immediately gets offended by this and, like, starts being a little bitch about it and is like, oh, well, I have my answer. And then he goes off and he's like, you know? And Blitz is like, wait, you were serious? Wait, what? And he starts freaking out, and he's like, no, like, give me a second to process, because you gotta give somebody a second to process this. But by that point, Stolas is already like, no, I don't care anymore. He's off throwing his tantrum, and it's like, what the hell? And Blitz gets reasonably upset and starts yelling crap at him, like, no, you're not taking my feelings into consideration, you're not giving me a second to think, which he did not, and this is all because you don't actually respect me. And Stolas is like, I can't believe you think I don't respect you. All I've done is act like I don't respect you for a season and a half. Sniffle. And then he, like, teleports him out, and then you go into apology tour. And I just want to say that, like, I mean, I already said it, like, a lot of times, right? But Stolas went about it wrong, and then threw a pissy fit, and then cut him off. And it's like, alright, so I guess nobody's gonna have the emotional maturity in this relationship. Like, at least Blitz was kind of trying to where he went after him and he's like, well, give me a second to, like, freaking think about it. But whatever he could have said, like, had Stolas, like, taken a moment to be like, okay, fine, and then waited, or, like, given him a day, or even given him, like, a few moments to collect his thoughts and be like, okay, samesies, or like, nah, bro, that's not what I'm into, then it would have gone a lot smoother and they would have been okay. But because Stolas just, like, stormed off like a child and didn't give him the same grace that he expected to have himself, which is really weird. Like, it's just poor behavior on Stolas' part all the way around. And Stolas, like, it's not unexpected from him. Like, he's not emotionally mature either. He has his issues, so this is believable. I just don't like when people say, like, oh my god, I can't believe Blitz would say that. And it's like, are you stupid? Yeah, of course he'd say that. So would you. And then after that, it goes into apology tour, where Blitz is like, oh man, I screwed up, and and it's about him, like, not apologizing and not taking accountability for his actions, which is like, yes, but also no. Like, apology tour feels like such a misplaced episode right after full moon, not because, like, it should have gone in a different order or anything, that's what I'm saying. It's that, like, it focuses on Blitz being the instigator of bad things. Like, if the bad things that happened specifically in this relationship and in any other relationship were his fault. Like, it brings up the point, like, with Verostica, is that they were dating and it was like, well, what he thought was casual, and then Verostica said, like, hey, I actually care about you, and Blitz flipped and left in a really, really crappy way. That is definitely his emotional failings and his general, like, he needs to get on that and fix it. But with Stolas, it wasn't the same case. He responded to everything, like, as he was, like, he reciprocated what was getting given to him. And then when things got flipped on him, all of a sudden, and in a very poor manner, he reasonably kind of crashed out a bit, and then asked for a moment to think about it before he could properly respond, and he was not given this grace, which is really, really crappy. And apology tour frames him like the bad guy, and while he may have been the bad guy in a lot of those relationships, however, like, that's too many. Like, most of those have got to be, like, one-night stands. It couldn't have all been serious relationships that he just happened to screw up. Like, he's only, like, 30-some, right? So, after apology tour, it felt like they were trying to put the blame on Blitz. Like, the audience was like, oh no, Blitz, you screwed up. And the show itself is like, oh no, Blitz, you screwed up. But it's like, I mean, a little bit, but in this case, in this instant, not really. Like, the Blitz screwing up part is mostly, like, with his own stuff, or, like, with Moxie and Millie, that's where it'd be a lot more relevant. So for it to be with his relationship with Stolas, like, while he did not act on his feelings or clarify that he was feeling a certain way, and that was certainly, like, I guess emotionally irresponsible, or, like, he could have done better in that case, this specific instance, this fight that they have at full moon, is not, that's not him. Like, that's not his fault for, like, most of the part. Anyway, I think I've ranted long enough. That was mostly what I wanted to say. Thank you for listening to this if you did, and I'm very sorry you had to listen to this if you did. I'll probably do more rants like this, not necessarily related to Hell of a Boss, it might be whatever. I do hope to do some more video essays soon of some kind, even if, like, they're not very structured or very good at all, but I don't know, whatever. If you like listening to me ramble, let me know, and I'll ramble some more. And if not, then, I guess I won't ramble as much, but I'll probably still ramble. This is not, like, it's not a serious channel or, like, anything that's specific. It's just kind of me doing whatever I want to do, so. And if my video on 01's not out by now, then it'll be out soon. And after that, there should be another video on 01 Reloaded, and I can't wait till Rust comes out so I can do a video on that too. And I hope they make a Rust Reloaded, because my God! God! Zero and Reloaded was one of the most genius marketing decisions of all time, and like the fact that they released it at